Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming. This is the Policy Leadership Group meeting for the Transportation for Economic Development here in Hillsborough County. Mike, am I calling you up first to give us the update, or who's up first? George? Welcome, George.
Thank you very much. I'm George Walton, representing the entire project team. I have a short presentation today to go through and introduce the upcoming public workshops. I know we have a little bit less time today than we have had in the past for these meetings, so I'm going to go through the presentation pretty quickly and allow for opportunity for comment and exchange as we go through the activities today. We've introduced the entire concept of going out to the public and listening, and that's very important, and that's what these first stages of meetings are going to be, and it's literally understanding the needs and going through the community workshops. If you recall, we have 4 phases of activities that we're going to be going through, from understanding the needs to exploring the options, pausing at that moment in time because we want to be able to come back to you and talk about what we heard. We want to understand what are the issues, what are the priorities, what are folks telling us, and then what opportunities are presented coming out of those particular activities. Then we move forward, if you will, into the deeper components of the transportation plan of what choices do we make and how do we find consensus moving through. So the meetings that are going to begin next Tuesday are a part of that understanding the issues component. So what do we expect to accomplish going through these first meetings? It's literally a listening exercise, and it's an informational exchange between not only the project team in the county, but the communities themselves. So we want to understand how transportation affects your quality of life, and quite frankly, how it affects with where the county is going to go and what the community's future can be. We have 13 meetings planned in this first round of activities. There's 12 actual meetings, and then we'll have one town hall, telephone town hall activity associated with that. We anticipate having a series of displays there that are going to be informational about the types of infrastructure that we have, the state of repair, if you will, of the infrastructure, conversations on what we understand about current budgeting associated with transportation. And then we want to get into exercises with the individual communities as to what is of their most interest. What do they think are the priorities when it comes to transportation, and how does that relate to them? How does it relate to their communities, their daily lives, and activities? So we're really trying to listen and understand those perspectives as we go through and discuss transportation. When we talk about the community snapshot, what this is information that we're going to have available for folks to see, to get them to understand how large the county is, what type of assets are associated when we speak of transportation in terms of lane miles, number of bridges. We'll have statistics on safety, and a lot of this information will have been collected from existing resources, whether it be the county, whether it be the MPO, whether it be HART, whether it be the Florida Department of Transportation, but all in an effort to establish a baseline of information of what is out there, what's important, how well is it working, and what conditions are the assets in. We want to talk about and get a conversation moving on the community issues themselves. As the county, we've gone out and invested, obviously, in the systems that we have out there, and we've done it in a variety of different ways through the community investment tax, property tax, gas taxes, developer fees, impact fees, etc. We want to talk about and begin to understand as we move through the entirety of the dialogue what monies are available, what do we want out of a transportation system, and how do we get there? So we need to understand how those competing needs exist from a budgetary perspective and how we look at the conditions, et cetera, associated with not only the budget, but with the transportation network. So the important part of the public meetings, though, is how do we sit down, roll up our sleeves, and engage with the communities. Now, we intend to have a couple of hands-on exercises. One is, and I know these are kind of difficult to see, and I have examples that give you a sense of scale of some of the tools that we intend to use. So we have project types. Now, on the website and in a variety of other places, we've collected the information of the project lists that we have, and we've put them into a community setting. So as we go out and meet with the different communities, you'll be able to see where are the roadway improvements, where are the safety improvements, where are all the different activities. And we fully intend to have the community sit down around these maps and literally write on them. Tell us where, tell us why, tell us what, tell us how much, and those types of things. Similar, if you see on the graphic here, behind the where it says draft example, is we're going to have a large display, and across the top of that are different tools and techniques from a transportation perspective, whether it be safety improvements, whether it be bike pedestrian improvements, whether it be additional capacity, either from a roadway, enhanced transit service, and those types of things. But we're going to ask people a value question in a very simple activity. We'll give you 3 or 4 dots, if you will, and we're going to ask you to go to that display and use your dots as you would. So in a way of getting a value assessment on what the community thinks is a priority of where we should look in terms of transportation and how to play it out, this will be an interesting tool to sort of assist us to get feedback as we go through. Behind me, I actually have some of the graphics, and I'll show you a little bit later in the meeting. We're talking large maps, 3 foot by 4 foot, 60-inch by 60-inch display. So we're going to have a lot of stuff out that will absolutely be hands-on. To give you a sense of how the room is going to be set up, I have a very simple graphic here. People will come in, they'll be greeted, have an opportunity to get on mailing lists and a variety of different things at a sign-in station. But then as you work your way around the room, much as I described very quickly in the conversation, there will be learning, technical exchange opportunities that we talked about. In other words, what does the county have? What are the assets? We'll have all of these boards and stations, if you will. We'll have representatives working there to engage in conversations. But you work your way around the room, so the intent is to get data, to get yourself prepared to do comment, and then to have the activities occur as you move through. Now, the last parts of the flow of the room you'll see are on the bottom right-hand corner of that graphic. We'll have opportunities for the public to sit down and literally write their comments. We'll have cards available to them for them to fill out. We'll have simple questionnaires for them to engage in as they move through the activities. Obviously, that's not the only time. They can take the card home. They can write us letter. They can write separate letters. There will be ample opportunity, but it's also a very good moment in time for them to take the real data that they have, the interaction they have with the folks staffing the meeting, and then be able to write and participate through the activities associated there. So really, we're trying to listen as we go through. Now, last week, in the effort to get out and about in the public, to notify the communities of when, where the different meetings are, we launched a website. So we have opportunities out there now with some basic information as to sort of the state of the transportation system, some initial commentary on where we are, but more importantly, it's the advertisement and the opportunities to initiate the public engagement activities. So on the website is all the meetings. It's the opportunity to RSVP for the meeting so that we understand when, where, and how. But it's also getting into some of the background information and the work that we've been doing to help prepare not only for the public meetings, but to prepare to develop the transportation plan and to move this group forward in the course of the conversation. The website is live, and I can actually go through a couple of things very quickly. I'm not going to go through everything here, but there are a couple of things that I want to point out. Understanding the issues, exploring the options, making choices, finding consensus, and your voice. Again, if you look at that, that's how we're progressing through the conversation. We want to listen and learn, and then we want to move forward with the harder discussions coming up a little bit later on. This iNeighborhood app is actually some of the graphics that we have available for us. But when you get into the community conversation, and I apologize, it's just the delay in coming up, you'll notice that we have all the different types of projects that are available. So you can sit at home, you can go in, you can take a look. You have the opportunity to comment on these types of things as to how it plays through. But the other fun things that are kind of coming up on the website are when and how to make comments, how to engage in the variety of different things. We're going to have a series of questions updated every couple to 3 days that give us an opportunity for opinion. Where are we going? How are we doing? What are we hearing in terms of the community? Again, trying to evaluate and assess what's going on associated with the activities as we move forward. I want to comment very quickly on the website and the public engagement components and how that feedback is going to happen. I mentioned the website, obviously. I've mentioned the opportunities for written comments and that type of format. Along with the website, there's social media that's going to be part and parcel of what we're doing, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook. The website itself is not as interactive as the other social media activities. In other words, when you RSVP or you make a comment to the website, it's also going to come into the county. So we'll be able to receive, track, and understand what's going on in terms of, I'll use the word transparency. Now, on Twitter and on Facebook and those other social media activities, anything that's put out there remains in the public realm. So it would be out there. Now, there will be rules of engagement, and you'll see these on the website a little bit on the bottom of each page. You got to be honest. You got to be fair in terms of what you're saying and talking about. And by that, I mean, don't be ugly. Don't be rude, right? There's ways that we can communicate and express our opinions openly and honestly. But we will be looking for inappropriate comments, and they may not be able to stay up, but they'll still be part of the public realm. So even though it may not be relevant, or even though it may have foul language, we may have to not leave that up for obvious reasons, but it will still be available if somebody wants to see it and really dig it out. So the components of that communication are out there. They're well underway at this point. And it's really an effort to open the dialogue, to engage with the community, and to foster that spirit of technical exchange and commentary. So it's all out there in terms of how we move forward. And I hope I did not just launch that again. This is what happens when you don't use your own computer. I knew I'd eventually get there. Now, since the online work has been up, just a couple of quick statistics that you can see here. In the short time it's been up, we've had a little over 1,000 visitors. People are actually being very active. We've got 184 likes on the Facebook page. We've got Twitter followers, and then we even have on the iNeighborhood app, we've had a little over 100 folks that are getting there. So even in the short time we've been live, we're starting to pick up and get the information out there. So my ask, keep pushing that, because the more people know about it, the better off we're going to be. The more folks we can get to the public meetings, the better off we're going to be. So I ask as much as you possibly can, get people out and about, get them in. Let's have the conversation and dialogues, because we have a boatload of meetings coming up between February and end of March. So with that, I would like to open up the floor to questions and comments, and I apologize for being quick, but I wanted to be respectful to y'all.
Thank you, George. That was a great presentation. Before we start, I do want to read into the record from Commissioner Les Miller. Please be advised I'll be out of the country, therefore unable to attend the February 12th, 2015 Policy Leadership Group Workshop. Please read the reason for my absence into the record. And we also have Commissioner Kevin Beckner on the phone, I think. Kevin?
Yes, Madam Chair, I am here. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Questions? Comments?
George, in terms of the website, when you're talking about comments, are you going to be able to marry certain costs for certain choices in the second stage? You know, so as an example, somebody may say, I want X, but X may be exorbitant in terms of price or something like that. Is there anything to show, you know, the average cost of a road is X, to put a new bus onto the system, or add buses would cost X, whatever it is. Have you thought about putting that as part of a public interactive portion of it?
I have not thought of it in context of exactly how you're talking. Obviously, as we go through and we develop whatever those transportation strategies come to be, We will have capital costs associated with that, and then we want to reach out and also talk about the operating cost, if that mode requires that and how it plays out. In addition to that, we want to be able to talk about the entirety of the program costs. So in other words, when you talk about a project's life cycle, there's planning, there's design, there's right-of-way acquisition, and there's construction are the primary components, but then there's that operations and maintenance element on the backside. We want to be able to talk in those terms. So when we get to the point where we need to have information in the community about what a range is of costs, yes, we can certainly bring that type of information to bear. I'll be the first to say that they will have to have a couple of asterisks associated with it, because so many complexities are inherent to different types of projects that it's very difficult just to say it's X million a mile for this versus X million a mile for that. But we can put it in context to allow for a public comment associated with that, and those are the types of things we can look forward to.
Well, the only reason I was making that suggestion is that, as part of the packet of materials that you have here, you do have some of the, the information concerning where we're at in terms of catching up with our infrastructure needs. But, it may be, infrastructure may be something that we want to continue to do in the same way, or we want to do something different. What are those costs for each one of those, so that people understand that, even if we want to build 7, lanes of highway, it's going to cost X number of dollars over the course of 30 years, whatever it may be. I think that it helps to narrow the thinking of most people in terms of focusing what it is that we're actually trying to do, which is to get as much bang for the buck as we possibly can, and sometimes those choices are different in different areas. So I just think that, if you focus it that way, I think we might get a better dialogue back from people, and hopefully not in nasty language. I wasn't sure if you were talking to us about being civil, or if
I
you were
was not
talking
looking
about...
at you in particular.
Okay, I was just going to say.
that.
But thank you, George. This is a good presentation.
Commissioner Chris was first, and
Three questions. The first one is on the website, are we going to have an interactive site where someone could do more than just leave a message, but actually interact with multiple choices and various options, and actually move things around and come back with constructive, rather than criticism, ideas?
Well, I think on the Twitter and the Facebook, you'll certainly have opportunities to comment on that and be able to have that type of exchange.
So comment is primarily what we're relying on for internal communication?
No, I mean, if you're asking for, or in my mind, if it's on Facebook, if they have an alternative that they want to look, then you just post that and just say, I think you should look at X, Y, and Z, and those types of things.
And as far as getting good cross-section of participation in each of these workshops, what are we doing to reach out to bring people in?
We've done a couple of different things. One, we've used a variety of mailing lists and email blasts to get the information out. There's opportunities to present in local newspapers and put advertisements in. On the way over today, I actually saw one of the public meeting display boards posted at an intersection. So we're using county-supplied information as well as traditional techniques, as well as updated electronic techniques to reach out to as many people as possible.
Okay, and is there going to be any kind of materials designed or developed that could be disseminated out to those of us who have newsletters to have, something prescripted to put into our newsletters?
Yes, we can work with you on that.
And can I just follow up? I mean, a lot of people don't do Facebook and Twitter. I mean, they do their, emails and regular internet type stuff. So I guess going back to this interactive question, if they don't do Facebook and Twitter, then how will they be able to be interactive?
You can go old school. You can call. You can go old school and
Okay.
write and do
So
anything.
they'll know.
We're not precluding any of that, but a lot of the information now obviously is being transmitted electronically for those types of activities. But as I mentioned at the public meeting, there will be literally paper copies for things in terms of comment and that type of stuff.
Okay, good. Rick?
Thank you. I just want to say thanks. From the last meeting, we had one meeting scheduled in Plant City, now we have 3. I think that was I appreciate the board asking for the additional meetings. I think they're important. I appreciate Parsons Bringer Hall coming back with going from, I think, 6 meetings to 36. I know 3 meetings in our city is more than enough opportunities for people to have the ability to, to express their wants, needs, and desires and concerns. And we are also publicizing it as well. So I just want to thank the board for the additional meetings. And so far, I think there's a lot of effort in reaching as many people as possible. I wish you could reach all of them, but all you can do is try. So I just want to thank the board.
Okay. Anyone else? There were questions that came to me from people about the transparency and meeting the sunshine requirements, and I guess I just kind of wanted to put that on the table so that we could answer the questions in this setting, and there wouldn't be any further questions or statements about that in the future.
Correct. I'll go back to what I was referencing just a few minutes ago. Anything that's posted is public domain. For obvious reasons, some comments, because of their nature, may not be able to stay up, but they will still be part of public domain and public record. There's nothing there that is hidden. Anything that comes into the website, there's duplication associated with that, so it'll go to the website, but it also has a Hillsborough County address associated with it as well, so it will be coming in both avenues. So there's nothing in the electronic media that won't be available out there unless, like I say, it violates something legally or something ethically.
Okay, good.
Just to interject, we do take transparency very seriously. I've asked Ramin Kuzakanani, who's our Chief Information Officer, to just explain to you how it's actually going to work, because I think everyone needs to understand how it gets into the public domain. He's worked with Chip Fletcher, the county attorney, to be sure that we're aligned properly. I know there have been questions. We do capture all of this in our normal course of business. When we get Facebook and Twitter feeds, everything gets captured, whether it's a mean statement or whether it's a nice statement. It's all there for public record. So, Ramin, if you could kind of come up and just
That's
walk
great.
them
Thank
through
you.
that.
Thank you. Madam Chair, as George mentioned, there are really 4 avenues through which you could communicate with this current website. There is the info at gohillsborough.org, and there is a comment box that you can actually log in to the website, and we can go through that in a minute. And there are also social media avenues. And there is the iNeighborhood app that George was alluding to. All of those, as George mentioned, have the capability of retaining the information that's posted through them. I think what's important that what we started, and George sort of alluded to this, is the establishment of a government inbox, and we're calling it transportation@hillsboroughcounty.org, through which everything that's posted to the info box on the website will be automatically mapped without any human interaction. So there's no opportunity for somebody to say, well, this goes in here and this other thing does not. There's absolutely no human interaction on that. Above and beyond that, what we're recommending, and there are measures in place to do that now, but to sort of further enhance that, is an archival solution where all the postings to the social media sites will be automatically archived. And George mentioned that. We can get into the details if you like. But quite honestly, through those establishments, there is really no way that something will not get captured. Even those things that might be hidden because of vulgarity or whatever the case might be removed, but really not deleted. So whatever comes into the government domain is subject to 119 and our retention policies.
That's great. Thank you. I think we might have a question. Commissioner Higginbotham?
Thank you. And what's the fail-safe on this, or the backup? And I understand if there's vulgarity or something and you want to just black that out or redact it. And I know this question came in to me as well because of the similarity of the website name to another group. And I just want to make sure that the public is comfortable that positions on both sides of the issue are not ferreted out or put away somehow. And how are we going to reassure the public that that's not going to happen? I know I'm asking the same question and looking for an answer, but maybe with some more reassurance to those who doubt the transparency.
Well, I can only say that just being in government for as long as I have been, that comes through time and confidence building. I think the more we communicate, the more people are at stake.
Let me just add that, I think Ramin is right. I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but as an extra measure, if you would so direct us, I spoke to our internal auditor, Michelle Leonhardt, and if we feel that the extra step is necessary to engage them to go in and periodically check, because the way systems are today, and Ramin can explain this better than I can barely get my computer to work. I mean, it's like leaves a footprint, it leaves a shadow, and so even if something is deleted, which it won't be because it's automatically archived, an auditor can go in and look at that administration screen, and if that's something you'd like to do, I'm not committing her, I simply had the conversation, she said she'd be open to it. The board would have to,
Now, and when you say board, would that be this panel or the county commission? Because I'm happy to bring that forward, because I want that comfort level. No matter what we do, there's going to be someone who's going to suspect a conspiracy.
Well, I think if this group said that was something you'd like to see, the Board of County Commissioners then you could bring that forward because she works for you. The question would be whether it would, as she told me, whether it would be her operation or whether it would be the clerk's auditor, because the clerk actually has some IT, special IT auditors who are certified to do that. But either way, I'm sure we can get the resources if that's the level of, I mean, we put so much effort into this,
right,
and so much passion, and the public has a right, to know that it's secure and that we're transparent. If that's what it takes, it's not expensive to do it, but we can do it. And we, as the chairman said, we need to leave here, because the meetings start next week, we need to leave here with the feeling that, we're ready to move, that we're committed. And all the questions have been asked.
And I will ask for an item under the F section of our agenda to be placed on there, and if my staff's listening, to go ahead and have them prepare an agenda item for that discussion and directive.
I think that's a great idea, just to give that extra level of assurance, so if there aren't any further questions about this issue, that we're going to move this plan forward and really engage the public and concentrate and prioritize the important things of why we're doing this, and not be bogged down with, this type of an issue without it being answered. I think we're answering it and addressing it. So, Commissioner White?
And Commissioners, if you're agreeable, I would just ask that agenda item take a direction such that we work with the clerk's office, with those IT auditors, because it's such a highly specialized area. I wouldn't want to put Michelle in a situation where she has to bring in independent contractors, because IT is such a highly specialized field, and it's, quite frankly, can be a very difficult audit to conduct. So if we already have that, quote, in-house within the clerk's office, maybe that's the direction that we should take.
Sure. I have not spoken to Pat Frank. I only talked to Michelle, so I'll go talk to her after this meeting.
Wouldn't we want Michelle to oversee it, though?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily?
No,
okay.
No, they can operate independent. They're both independent.
Okay, good.
So.
Good suggestions. So Commissioner Higginbotham is going to bring an item forward and on our agenda next week.
Yes.
To just give us that extra level of assurance that everything that's captured will be stored properly and visible to the public, transparent to the public. That's very good. Thank you, Mike and Ramin. And George, great presentation. Further comments? I do want to ask you, if somebody shows up that didn't RSVP, you'll let them in, right?
Okay, yes.
I just want to make sure. Because RSVP is like everywhere, and I know you're trying to get people to RSVP so you can, and when are you going to link land use to, all these zonings and different things that, land use designations we have for areas? When will that be? Will that be also on some of these maps, or are you going to?
The land use is not on the maps for these initial conversations. I think that's going to migrate into, once we understand those issues and conditions, that we start to carry it forward when we make the choices. It'll be part of that conversation.
That's a critical part to this, because if we are sending roads somewhere, where we can't use the property for economic development, it's not going to work. The link doesn't happen, and we just want to make sure that our tax dollars are spent wisely. So, thank you.
Completely.
Commissioner Chris?
A couple other questions come to mind. The Go Hillsborough positioning, didn't Pinellas use that same? Or someone else recently?
Well, I know there's Go Hart, and those types of things. You can imagine sitting in a conference room and going around and around on all the different names. We had some fun, lively debate. What we came down with was the Go component, because it's action, it's moving forward, it's getting engaged, it's having the public, it's having movement, and then the Hillsborough is obvious. But then when you get to the your voices and your choices, I can't overemphasize the fact it's your plan, right? It's not me, it's not George's plan, it's your plan to reach into the community and listen and to pull it together from that component, because at the end, the collective county and the cities are the ones that are going to have to implement this and nurture it along the way. So,
recently, someone brought to my attention that an ad agency bought the domain site, the rights to the domain site that we're using. Why didn't we purchase it and control it?
we bought the .org because it ties to the county, and then we bought a variety of others that are associated with that, which would be our normal practice as we went through.
Okay.
Okay. Mayor? Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Great presentation.
We'll see y'all next week. Okay.
Is that it, Mike?
That's my wife crazy.
Okay, tell her.
No, there's nothing else that we have unless you
Okay.
want
See
to give
y'all
us
next
direction.
week.
Yes,
Okay.
we're excited.
We're
We're
adjourned.
pumped. We're ready to go.
Thank you.
All right.